We're heading on into Game 3 with each squad getting one apiece here in the lower bracket finals between PSG and J-Team. Before we go deeper into the matchup a little bit, of course, we still have to thank our wonderful sponsors, CTBC Bank and Caliber, bringing the PCS action right toward your doorstep. Now, the third game, we have some switch-ups here. It's going to be the first time that PSG go for the red side. And Nightstar, I have to ask you, what does this mean for the matchup?
I think it, for the most part, means that they want to play more for Hanabi there, perhaps holding on to last pick for him, just getting to see the composition more often, or just being able to R4 Gangplank on that second phase. So I think it puts a lot of pressure on J-Team when it comes to dealing with this top half of the map, but it also means that the bans have to change a little bit as well. Knowing that the Zeri ban most likely comes out from the side of PSG, I would also assume that they have to be the ones to ban out the Ahri as well. So you're playing with less bans, opens things up for J-Team. I think they're going to ban away the Nautilus pick. They haven't shown that they want to first pick this champion. They'll most likely first pick the Philios, and they just can't play against this Nautilus pick.
It feels so bad to ban Nautilus, though. It feels like you're doing yourself harm. It's definitely possible. And I do want to talk about the red side bans, since you did mention the Zeri that has to come out. We did see the 3 bans stay consistent on the side of PSG throughout the entire series. It's been Lee Sin, Diego, and Zoe. So which one are they letting through here?
I would consider dropping the Lee Sin ban because you don't want to give over the Viego and give that scaling ability towards J-Team. And we saw in yesterday's series, even though Konger was very effective on the Lee Sin, a lot of these games didn't come down to getting snowballed and winning the game at 20-25 minutes. It was still consistently getting to the 30-minute mark, and that's of course where Lee Sin drops off. So even though he pretty much won the game with Lee Sin in game 1, or their first victory, in the second time he played the Lee Sin, he really struggled because it became more about the 5v5s, and that's not where Lee Sin gets value.
Oh, you called it! J-Team are actually banning Nautilus up. I'm sorry, this is just absolutely hilarious.
That's what
Nautilus,
we saw yesterday.
He's great. I'm not sure he's really... Like, I think psychologically he's tier S, but I'm not sure he's actually that strong.
So J-Team are saying, we're going to pick Aphelios, and you're going to have to ban it. So this changes the bans completely, because I thought it'd be Aphelios Jinx handshake. But now PSG, they actually have to consider banning away the Aphelios themselves. I think you can still play things like the MF into it and still be very fine.
What?
It's Aphelios first. It's the only champion Lil B has played.
Is this Karma ban just like a I don't want to ban Aphelios ban? Like, I can't read this Karma. What the?
They've played... So I think it means that they want to pick Renata on R3, because we saw in the previous series Renata was pretty effective in the series, but Karma did well in the lane phase against the pick. But if they want Renata, they would have to take away here. Just because I think J-Team would be very happy just blind picking Aphelios Renata.
Yeah, and so hasn't really played a lot of it, but at this late stage in the postseason, you have to expect that he can bring it out anyway. So we're missing a tier 1 AD carry and also the Renata pick for PSG, but I'm not sure. Okay, MF, I do like this champion a little bit better. It still goes with the flow of trying to win the bottom side for PSG here.
Yep, and you team fight very well on 1 and 2 items, so this pick makes a lot of sense. You're very flexible with the pick, controls a lot of space against an Aphelios, very hard for him to walk up. But now it's just a matter of I fully expect J Team to just go ahead, lock in this Renata pick. It gives you a decent amount of lane pressure here, and if PSG want to play for lane, they then would have to also match with an enchanter of their own, which doesn't really pair well with the MF.
Yeah, that would be super interesting to watch right here.
Okay,
Ari is going to
Ari.
come through. I like this for Uniboy. It's definitely one of his best champions. And tempo has been the name of the game for at least mid jungle on J Team side. For PSG, they're thinking about what they want for their mid laner.
Looks like it's dive.
Okay, there's a lot of reset potential here. We've seen some really cool plays from Bay on this champion. He's been able to close out on enemy AD carries beautifully, especially in one of the games against J-Team this split earlier on. So J-Team might have a little bit PTSD from this one. Now we go into the most likely top side and support bans here.
Yeah, and now when we look at support bans, I'm thinking we're going to take away Kaiwing's Leona. That's a champion that can facilitate dive along with setting up Leona in that bot lane for PSG. It's about removing the Renata, perhaps even removing the Braum if they want to target the support pool even more, because Braum shield very effective against MF and also very effective against dive. So I think those are the two targets if you're looking for support bans on PSG. For J-Team, they've already removed the Gangplank. Now perhaps you look at the Gnar as well, just because it gives you that blind pick power for PSG, but then you're saving counter pick for your support, and I'm not sure if that's going to make a difference here.
Yeah, it feels like there's a very high chance we just run into something like a Leona Thresh coming out from both sides. I fully expect J-Team to still stick that Gnar ban in there. Those two seem to be the deadliest champions. But the Tryndamere could come through here, so they also have to keep in mind that's a possibility. PSG probably just going for the support pick. I love the Leona idea, the full-on engage. Does seem to be the way to go for this composition here.
Yeah, and here PSG could go for a Renekton pick if they really wanted to, but Leona, that'll be the pick here. They're going to save counter pick for Hanabi in this instance. For J-Team, you've got some options. I personally think the Braum is really good slot in because again, you're playing into a Leona, so you're able to neutralize melee matchups relatively well. And against dive, you're very, very good into that, and you need some sort of protection for this Aphelios pick.
Yeah, I do love the idea of the Braum here, you know, and just place up the shield and stop those bullet times. But it does look like they might be favoring the Alistar. Enso, of course, used to be a jungler, so his support pool is actually a little bit limited here. Doesn't play as many supports as some of our old-time supports do. He's going to go for the Alistar, a lot of tempo potential here, and also kind of a neutralizing lane against the Leona. And now for PSG, what do they go up against this Gragas? I'm actually still willing to just straight up pick a Tryndamere. I don't care if it's a counter or not.
Yeah, Tryndamere could be okay.
Oh, this is even better.
Aatrox, a little bit more team fight power, of course. Also a decent amount of sustain. We're going to get Sylas top lane, I think. Unless if there's going to be a weird curveball and throw Vex into the top lane, it's going to be Sylas. So this is a very different pick than what I expected, but there's a lot of ultimates that are fantastic for the Sylas pick, right? You have Gragas, you have a Hecarim, and you have Alistar. These are probably the best 3 ultimates in the game to just steal away. So I love this setup for the Sylas. Hanabi set up to carry, but one drawback is that they are very, very focused on magic damage. So we'll see how much value, how much snowballing that this MF is able to get, because otherwise they might be a little bit capped for damage.
It's true, but I gotta say, as you said, I am so I adore this Sylas pick. Like, it can side lane, it can steal engage just from the Hecarim. It goes well with the quad dive composition as well. It really does everything you want it to. The only weakness of Silas traditionally in the top side has been that he doesn't really get through lane easily, and he can't get counter snowballed against. That's not likely to be the case against J Team. They haven't been looking top whatsoever. So it's a great idea to sneak that pick in there. I gotta say, even with the Ari going over to Uniboy, I just feel like PSG have an overwhelming composition.
Yeah, and I actually really don't like this Alistar pick because one, it somehow allowed the Silas to come out in the top side, but also there's nothing to stop this 4-man dive squad. Because more than likely we'll see Enzo try and engage fights, and if that happens, then you leave your Philios off to his own devices, and there's also nothing to stop the ultimate coming in from MF. So if it plays out how I think it's going to play, I think J Team are really just leaving this Aphelios out to dry once more. And so 2 out of 3 games, Aphelios, a ton of Aphelios priority, mind you. Remember, they threw 3 bans in the first phase to allow the Aphelios to come through for their first pick, to enable it, and the rest of the draft doesn't play for it.
True. That's a really interesting observation. I do want to point out, Konger is going for some straight up trickery right here. He's got his Ignite, and he's also got Futures Market. So a lot of flexibility on what he can do right here. I do feel like that might be for the Silas coming in, or maybe to outduel the Viego. In the meantime, PSG going to come in with a late invade, hitting the red at 1 minute and 25 seconds.
They're really strong.
Good timing. Yeah, J Team has also already pulled the red as well. PSG, will they take over the red and start to deal damage to it? Yes, it looks like they will. Just straight up tank. Okay. And in the meantime, Hecarim is just going to give up the potential for vertical jungle.
This vertical jungle looks very good so far for this PSG bottom lane. Of course, they've been pretty much exclusively playing for bot lane, even though the results might not look like it. But I think this time around, this is a really good setup. Again, level 1, you have a pretty big advantage. Range goes in favor of the MF. You have a real level 1 on your support, and now they're just going to run straight for their own red control as well. Going red to red here, I like it for PSG because it slows down this Hecarim. Again, it's an Ignite Hecarim, so his ganks aren't going to be as effective because he won't have that additional ghost. It's really about the 1v1 duel potential with the Ignite pickup.
Yeah, super interesting on this. We'll see how this one works out here. In the meantime, the other big question is, how can Konger actually get 2 quadrants of the map? If you get 3 quadrants, in this day and age, your game is pretty much over as a jungler. It becomes so much harder to come back with the deficits that you're going to sustain. We are going to see Konger actually do a very early visit into the top lane. Oh, Driver getting a massive trade-off onto Hanabi right here. And in comes Konger with the Ignite. The Decimating Charge goes in, and in comes the flashes. That's first blood for Konger, and maybe the first time that J-Team can possibly win the top side.
Yeah, and there we go. The vulnerability is coming in from a Silas right there. A little bit too far up, ends up getting punished, burns the flash. Thankfully, large wave stacked at his tower, so, you know, at the very least, he's still able to get some gold into his hands. But that will be a big summoner they try and keep track of, and for Korea to try and abuse.
Yeah, they definitely need to throw a couple more kills there, get Driver back into his mojo, and keep Hanabi down a peg. Silas, a very good scaling champion, so you can't let him run away with that. In the meantime, we're taking a look at the setup from PSG's bottom side. This is going to be Comet Misfortune, so very strong in the lane, but does fall off quite hard later on.
And it's going to be the Doran's Ring, so a lot of poke damage focus from this build here. Just trying to deny as much CS as possible away from Lil V. Right now, he's 7 CS down, but wave is coming towards him. And I expect it to still be the lethality build, so still very powerful mid-game at 1 and 2 items. And it's just all about playing as strong as possible for Unified. It's very similar to in TFT. You just play strongest board every single point of the game.
All right, we'll see if the TFT team does win through here. In the meantime, Kongyun has not been allowed to go in his bottom side quadrant. He's down by about 3 camps at this point, and unless he can equalize, this is not really what you want to be as a Hecarim. You want to go for level 6 as soon as possible. He might be looking for a second gank on Hanabi. Yeah, if Silas, if Hanabi doesn't find the abduct back onto Hecarim, he could very easily die again in this lane, and Ignite's about to come up. Ooh, he walks past the pink ward right here.
Oh, baby.
He's out.
That's a clutch spider sense right there coming in from Hanabi. Of course, the weak side king understanding, hey, I'm the clear target coming in from corner because we have this bot lane really just bot side under lockdown. There's no way for them to gank this bottom side, which means the only target's top. So as long as he's willing to concede a little bit there, it should pay off in the long term. And now J-Team are dead.
Yeah, PSG Kaiwin coming in. He only gets the stun onto Enso. Enso flashes out, but can he survive this one? He will go down, and in comes the Alistar abilities. Oh, Lil V has to be forced to flash away again. And Unified and Kaiwin back to their old ways, just holding the wave, and making the opponent suffer.
Yeah, and what do you know? The best part about this PSG comp, we can steal your basic abilities, and we get to steal your ultimates. The power of Viego and Silas. So everything good about this J-Team comp that you would like with the Alistar ult, the Alistar kit, so much CC, the Gragas, with how much CC he offers, along with, of course, the Hecarim, his ability to snowball. It doesn't matter. If PSG get a kill onto one of those champions, it's all theirs.
They can even steal from the same target at the same time, so we might be seeing essentially a 4v6 where Alistar is actually a secret agent, an imposter working for PSG in this game. That's definitely in the cards right now. I do expect repeat ganks, and I do want to mention the potential for this bottom lane to go completely haywire, as Viego is almost 20 CS up. Vex can leave the lane in the blink of an eye. There's very little that Ahri can do to completely shut her in, so this bot lane looking kind of dangerous.
Yeah, and so much of this J-Team composition is going to have to play around the Hecarim, Ahri, and Alistar pick potential, because again, they invested a lot of draft resources to secure this B1 Aphelios, take away the Jinx, take away the Xayah, and they don't have any protection for the hyper carry. So a lot of concerns for J-Team if they aren't able to get a good start. And so far, it's not looking like a good start, Clement.
I completely concur with that one. Let's see where PSG are going to go with their mid jungle. It looks like they're already shifting up for the Herald. Lil V took half his HP just with the double tap there, and the rain of bullets coming down as well. But J-Team do sneak this one out. I do think they spot Juhan here. PSG looking to still collapse and go for that play, but actually they call it off and just go back to their own lanes. They're winning very hard in the bot lane, so just want to push that advantage even further. Now, if Lil V gets caught out right here and Kaiwin hits level 6, he could just be dead. But not yet ticking over. Lil V will be able to pick this wave up.
Yeah, and I mean, it's such a massive lead down in this bottom lane. Yes, the items aren't exactly the strongest, but
oh, he's gonna get the decimating. Oh no! What the anti-synergy? Guess it doesn't matter. You had one job, driver.
Oh god. Yeah, the car got a little bit too far ahead of him. And he just whiffs completely. But it doesn't even matter. They already have so much damage with the Ignite that they're able to just burst out Hanabi regardless at this stage in the game. Now Juhan's going to be able to pick up the rest of the CS, but he hasn't been able to really get much out of this jungle matchup besides the CS advantage because of the fact that Konger is being able to keep up with the XP from the kill EXP coming down onto Hanabi. So now PSG, they've decided we'll just put Hanabi, we'll just swap sides, play for Herald with our dual lane coming up. But I mean, it's 3 people down in this bottom lane. Hanabi could just die again.
I absolutely love this Ignite. This is so smart. The Kingslayer doesn't do anything for Hanabi, isn't able to keep him healed up. But my question is, sure they're picking on Hanabi, but I'm not sure this actually keeps him down though. Like, he's perfectly still fine in the late game.
He's still going to get his levels. It's not like he's going to be out-leveled by a support Alistar, so his Alistar ult gets more value.
Coming in to close the trap. Let's see if they can get the Blast Cone. Oh, they do. And they're out.
Hanabi had the opportunity to blast them back with the Gragas ult, but doesn't pull the trigger. So maybe PSG only fishing for that. But Driver has a 2-level advantage in this particular matchup. And of course, like, there's really no items on this AD carry at the moment, so he can easily go for the 1v1 if he finds the opening. And this is an interesting a setup here. Kaiwing playing with Hanabi, but really everyone converging bot side now. Oh, Juhan's dead.
Yeah, Juhan's getting caught. Didn't find the charm. They do get it. He's down.
He's dead. Yep. Picked off. Uniboy finds the pick. That was actually such a great ward coming in. And I mean, everyone from J Team set up there. Once again, it's Kongrea reading Juhan like a book. Usually it's been Juhan being able to read map states better, but this time around, while he got the map read, Kongrea step ahead of him.
That was really smart from J Team because they know that Juhan has the Herald. He's not going to be able to scan that one. And they just saw the scan being popped by Kaiwing. So they know of like, oh, Kaiwing just popped the scan right in front of us. There's actually no way that Juhan knows that he's sitting on the ward. So I gotta say, Kongrea with his setup and with a lot of these reads, it's this is vintage Kongrea, man. We're going all the way back to Mad.
Yeah, and now, I mean, I wanted to touch on Hanabi's build because it looks like he's going towards the Rift Maker. So not going for any of the mana items, but
Uniboy doesn't have an ult. He's going to get stunned down. And yep, he's out. He has to burn the flash right here, but he still gets away from the three man.
Yeah, and I mean, flash isn't as big of a concern for a champion like Ahri because once he has his ultimate, that is more than enough safety as well. However, it will perhaps limit what he can do to attack the map because he now only has one cooldown for his escapability. But as things stand, J Team still feel relatively comfortable, and for PSG, they're down 1,000 gold. I don't think the timer is as prevalent in this game because, again, they have great team fights at 1 and 2 items that they can very easily stop the snowball coming in from J Team.
Yeah, I mean, we've been seeing a lot of praises for J Team, but we're kind of letting go of the fact that Sylas alone can pretty much just destroy the squad. Yes. So we'll find out later if that comes into fruition. So far, PSG just getting a little bit more gold onto Unified. He does have the Eclipse, so that's a lot of movement speed if he wants to chase the Aphelios down. In the meantime, Driver going to find himself a little good chunk with the Demolish right there. Picks up the 160 gold. Nice find against the Sylas. And we are pretty much just sitting around until the next Drake, unless there's something that J-Team want to do. I feel like with Hecarim, they do have a lot more say in where they want to strike for the next 3 minutes.
Yeah, next 3 minutes, we'll see where they take their aggression to. Dragons evened out at 1-1, so Dragon Soul's not going to be an immediate threat here in this particular game. Maybe a less priority on the next couple of dragons, but I think for the side of PSG, they really have to make the Dragon Soul their win condition because of how much of an investment they've put into this MF. They need this MF to get going early on to then bridge them to the later portions where Sylas finally gets online.
Yeah, that's going to be absolutely huge, and I feel like in the next couple of team fights, even though they have the scaling comp, because of the points you just mentioned, they're the ones that actually need to win some. They need to stretch this game out with the Drakes and not allow these stacks to go through. So Can you take us through kind of the setup here that you see probably the best win conditions for PSG to maybe find a good team fight win here?
Yeah, I think PSG have done a good job at isolating this bot half of the map. They need to be able to consistently maintain that control, keep up the wards, and because we saw on that last play where Juhan did get picked off, they sacrificed a little bit for that, and it was in part because they made the rotation topside with the dual lane and then moving Hanabi to that bottom side. They're trying to get gold into this champion, but really it's just, hey, we have this really strong MF that's really starting to come online. Let's try and find a fight to play around that big ultimate.
Yeah, I can't wait for the setup this time around. I feel like on red side, they could really hide in a lot of these brushes. They have very long range with the Vex, with the MF, so lots of different ways that they could play it. For me, I even somewhat expect them to allow J Team to step up on the objective first. Like I think that's definitely somewhat playable. You want to keep yourself hidden, especially from explosive cast that could just stop MF really early on into the fight. So there's a lot of, I think, interaction in this next coming fight that, for me, are actually pretty difficult to predict overall because they are so dynamic, especially with things like Shadow Surge, where you can just get a 5-man taunt inside a Dragon Pit. It's like, well, how do you keep that guy away?
I actually think it's better for the side of PSG if they do allow J Team to get into the Dragon Pit first, because it limits the mobility coming out from in Aphelios, and if they get onto the Aphelios, burst them out, all of a sudden the side of PSG can really snowball a fight afterwards. There's a lot of movement capabilities, right? Viego, Sylas, very agile. They can continuously move around and clean up a fight. It's just a matter of corralling them into a location or a good spot for this MF pick, and MF on red side can play over the thin wall. Whereas on blue side, a lot more inflexible with how you position. You have to be in river to actually utilize that MF ult.
We've seen it so many times. Like, the MF just stands on top of the blast cone, drops her ultimate, like, brings everyone to half HP, and then just pops over and kills everyone. Yeah. So it can definitely happen that way. Like, we have a bit of downtime to spare here. I want to think of, like, what's the worst combination for Viego abilities and for Sylas ultimate. Is there even a bad ultimate to steal here as Sylas? There's obviously no Udyr level like the Phoenix slap.
I mean, that would always. For the most part, you don't get a lot of value out of Aphelios besides damage, right? So
yeah,
because really you aren't able to proc Gravitum. So if you use Gravitum ult, you only get the slow. So that is one thing. True. Unless I wonder if you use Gravitum ult as Sylas and Viego steals Aphelios, can he use Gravitum off of the Gravitum ult?
Ooh, that is actually spicy. That would be absolutely 500 IQ if we ever see it happen. Probably not, but it would be pretty cool.
Yeah. There's some possible cool interactions because of the fact you have both Sylas and Viego, right?
Yeah. You can actually get access to the other abilities that chain up into the ultimate right there. That's not what you usually do with the Sylas. So we're gonna find out. This is some really fun 200 IQ IQ experiments that could be going on.
200 IQ, but also it might just evolve into 200 years.
True. Like, he just forgoes the Graviton, goes, oh, but we do have the Flashbang Bird from Unified right before the Drake is about to come up. Great find from Kongir right here, and I just love this build. This Ignite build is actually so fun. I actually want to start try and apply this one. On the top side, suddenly Driver is getting a lot of leads here. Hanabi finally gets his Mythic, so he was kept pretty far behind, and that's why he wasn't able to win the top side. Now he finally does come back here, but I think Driver's actually done a very good job at keeping all of this in check.
Yeah, and now he's going to have the sustain to actually slowly win out this matchup for this Sylas pickup and then the top side. So finally, Hanabi's kind of online, but again, he's been really hard focused in this particular game. Already died 2 times. As we get to see the gold charts pulled up here, Hanabi below Lil V. But the biggest winner at the moment are these mid laners doing very well for themselves in the farm department, and that's why they're at the top of the gold charts.
Yeah, and they can pack a punch right here. Boy also has his mythic completed. As we were talking about, PSG can fight for vision, but they can also seed it over towards J-Team and allow them to walk into a trap. Bay can engage over walls, so can MF. So many different ways to play this one. And we do have Kongre now starting up on the Herald. Pretty greedy to be here before the Drake, but they feel like they have the potential and the power to do so. Let's see if PSG try to respond, or are they just going to look for a potential dive here. It looks like the 4-man is already converging, and I love this play from Little V. He's just like, yeah, I'm not staying here. You know what, guys? I've seen how PSG plays. I'm not going anywhere close to my own tower. You guys can have this one.
Yeah, but that might not be enough still.
Far. Oh, well, it does get out in the end, especially with the Gale Force. A little bit greedy for the Krugs, but it makes it work, I guess.
Yeah, but the big thing there is that he has to expend everything. So Konga throws out this Rift Herald knowing that, hey, the rest of PSG are down in this bottom side. We'll be able to take this top tower. And that's more gold going into the hands of J-Team. And overall, they would win out. But PSG get themselves this dragon. So really, both teams get kind of what they wanted. But I would say J-Team maybe a little bit more at this current moment.
Yeah, I feel like their game plan is actually our top laner is the jungler. Hecarim's the real carry here. You know, Driver's just kind of leashing his lane for him. He's setting up the wave so he can get towers and stuff like that. Driver's definitely the more utility part of this partnership here. And like you mentioned, you know, PSG, they don't have to face a Dray stack. They can infinite scale. And meanwhile, J-Team, they get this Hecarim up to closer to going for, I believe, what we're going to see as the Force of Nature right here. Make him pretty invincible, just diving into the backline.
Yeah, now for PSG, you have your 2 items completed onto the MF. This is a really, really big power spike for his champ. And you look on the other side, Lil V, he's once again opting into this BT build. This time, again, every time he's gone for it, it slows down the build path of Inaphilios, but every single time it does feel like it's very necessary to go for the BT.
We're seeing both teams just staying around mid right here. Both were trying to poke out and catch the 80 carries. Neither of them have their flashes, so a lot of ideas being exchanged here, but no one eventually bites. We are seeing the game start to shift into, I still think this is still pretty much J-Team favored territory. Driver, is he going to look for the explosive cask? He does go for it. Kaiwing flashes out and stays alive through the stasis. Very nicely done here. And Nabi's going to come in just to put some pressure down onto J-Team, and J-Team back out in the end. But, you know, good catches from both of them.
Yeah, and J-Team, they don't have to actually expend anything for that. They don't have to burn flashes. It's Kaiwing's flash that gets burned out, and it's also the big ultimate coming in from Unified. So a lot of their team fight power removed at the moment. Once Hanabi does get online, then it changes a little bit here, but right now you're very focused on trying to play around your MF ult as your main damage source.
Yep, we are still waiting for the Muramana to come through. That's when this MF gets really scary and start to pack a punch here. And I feel like J-Team, after that dive, they were just so happy they banned the Nautilus, because in that situation, if it was Nautilus, it'd probably turn around and just kill the Kragus. So I'm just so flabbergasted that Nautilus is like the go-to ban this late into playoffs, but here we are in the PCS.
I mean, J-Team have also just struggled so mightily against the pick, right? Where when they have to play against it, Lil V just constantly gets hooked in lane. So in these lanes that should be sort of a handshake, and ends up just getting really abnormal leads for the Nautilus side of the matchup. And okay, Driver just slows down the back coming in from Juhan, but now Baron has spawned. J-Team 2,000 gold ahead, but PSG have the 1 dragon lead, and again, they want to play around dragons because they can really hammer these 5v5s home at the moment. Oh,
Kongra coming in for the catch. Kaiwing doesn't have his flash anymore, but Kongra has to take a full bullet time, and down he goes. Overextending there. feel like I've seen that play happen before in J-Team games. They had the first step, but not the plan B.
Yeah, and the benefit of having a Leona is that if she does get caught out, she still has a lot of survivability.
Yep.
If she procs Aftershock and she presses W, she's just so damn durable. Makes for a very hard target to pick off, and that's what we saw in that case. And even though you are a very far ahead Hecarim, you don't have the damage to one-shot a Leona. So when you eat a full bullet time from an MF, there's no way you survive that.
Yeah, that was a little bit ambitious coming in from Konga. You know, if it was MF herself, it would have been a lot easier here. But in that play, I also want to mention Hanabi actually burned his TP for very little effect right here, so he will be down there, and Driver will have that advantage. So Driver can still afford to go for side lanes. J-Team looks like they're not going to go for that route, though. They are just going to converge on this next Cloud Drake coming up. As we said again, they don't really need to go into the river to have impact here. Unified's ult should be about to come up, so PSG probably just waiting around a couple more seconds where that ult does come in. But Enzo wants to start this one off. Uniboy gets tagged, no follow-up damage, and both sides go back to dancing around. We finally have bullet time back up again, so the big ultimate will be ready. If Enzo chances his engages, Kai once again caught and might just be going down. Driver stun on the other side. Little V nearly dead. Bay can't find him with the Everfrost, and both sides gently start to disengage.
Has ult. Hanabi has the Alistar ultimate, so this reset is still much more beneficial for the side of PSG. They'll turn their attention towards this dragon, and it does look like J-Team will be forced to concede this objective. So they put themselves on soul points. Unfortunately, it is only, of course, the Cloud Soul, so you're not getting those extra damage stats, but the extra kite ability, very useful, again, for champions like a Sylas, like a MF who can, and the Viego who can easily chase after that first kill goes down. As we get to see the replay, this is the value of Leona. She gets charmed up, she gets CC, she gets knocked up, she gets bounced around, she's still alive, she's 40% HP, and then the turn comes in from PSG. Lil V does a good job in getting the Severum ult off, but I mean, again, this Aphelios, the priority on the champion when he gets so little value is just not worth it.
I felt like Little V was baited into such a hard position right there. If he goes in for the damage, well, Unified's definitely going to be waiting there for him. If he doesn't go, then you know the engage is kind of expended for nothing. So a bit of a weird engage from J-Team from my perspective. They didn't really have Little V's best interests at heart there, and he ends up paying both summoners here. That's going to be a huge difference here as you take a look at Unified, and he's still sitting pretty with both his flash and his heal. So this next fight, PSG know they have a lead. They're pushing for the advantage. If they can catch out Little V, they could end this fight in an instant. Let's see how Little V moves across here. It's very hard for him to move against a Sylas and a Leona and a Viego. He's just going to stay here underneath his own tower and stay a little bit safer. Konga coming in.
Oh, that's a big win.
Kai Wing once again is going to get tagged out. But so far nothing happened. Yeah, it doesn't have the Gravitum.
Yeah, and no ult, and he is currently on green-white. So probably his best team fighting weaponry at the moment against this composition of PSG. Wants the extra range, also of course the extra 1v1 power, but when you lose that Moonlight Vigil, it also takes away a lot of your really big burst potential coming in from Infinite Chakram. So I like PSG trying to be a little bit more proactive, walking in and trying to find a pick.
Nabi is going to be a pseudo tank here, has already captured the Alistar ultimate. That's going to take a while to actually fall off, so J-Team, I don't think they can really chance for these engages. Not a fight that they should be able to win right now. They are going to go back to just shoving the waves back in again. And PSG are pretty happy, I think, to just sit this one out. You know, wait 2 minutes here and make it about a decisive Cloud Soul.
Yeah, and here we actually have Hanabi going for the Archangels for a second item. So this is a build with a lot of sustain. I almost expect him to go for something like the Spirit Visage third just to amplify the healing. So he's just going to be a drain tank with this current itemization. Uniboy still has the Banshee's Veil, so that will be something that they need to pop off here.
Oh, but he walks into Juon. Juon finds the stun, gets the Everfrost, and the ultimate. So pretty big find, though. Yep, the Ari will still get all of those back in the next fight, but yeah, nice to let Uniboy know that you can jump out of any brush.
Yeah, and that's actually a nice little denial here because at level 16, he gets the additional cooldown reduction, so being able to burn that at level 15 does help a little bit. Small advantage. And Uniboy now going to be forced to rely on that flash, but, I mean, it's still a pretty short cooldown here. As we head towards, I mean, it's 27 minutes into the game, not a ton of kills to come through, and it's really just much more of a chess match this time around, which I think favors PSG much more.
We'll see if PSG can get something out of it. Kaiwing once again the target here. He's going to get charmed up and not fall down. Bei on the side holding onto his abilities, and literally has to back out. He doesn't have his flash just yet. So J-Team, they chance for something, they don't find anything. And I gotta say, that does feel like a bit of a waste in terms of the abilities here. PSG will have one extra ultimate coming into this crucial team fight.
Guys, we just have to stop throwing all our damage onto a Leona. It's not finding enough value. Yes, you burn the flash and it maybe limits the range of your engage coming in from the Leona, but there's still a Viego, there's still a Vex to deal with, there's still the Silas pick to deal with. So there's so many other targets that can start fights out for PSG that killing a Leona isn't going to do enough.
Hey man, when you want a drink, you've got to have a drink. Uniboy flying in, he does find the Vex. Okay, here we go. The Moonlight Vigil onto 3 targets, but Hanabi is so tanky in the front line. He's still not falling down, and Bei is able to re-engage here. Hanabi finds Little V. Little V gets tagged over the wall, and the AD carry is down. This is your pick one Aphelios on the ground. Can Uniboy fight this one back? Explosive cast back into the tower, but Kaiwing stays alive. PSG able to get one, but it's still a 1-for-1 trade. J-Team somehow managed to get away with multiple blinking HP bars.
Yeah, they managed to escape, but unfortunately, this is still going to be favored towards PSG. They're going to be able to get themselves this Cloud Soul here, and now they have a bit more of an edge. Again, it is Cloud Soul, so it's not the most domineering soul to pick up here, but once again, this time things start out better by finding the better CC land target onto Bei on this Vex, but Lil V not allowed to play the game. Look, he's full health and instantly he's gone.
Yeah, it takes 2 ultimates to the face right there. I think Kongra actually mistimed the onslaught of shadows, wasn't able to get the fear onto Bei. That would have changed things, taken away the shadow surge. They don't find it. PSG closed the trap here. Unified pops his bullet time, gets a lot of damage out, and that is Cloud Soul. So super fast flank potential from PSG. They can just run circles around J-Team at this point. But in the grand scheme of things, probably not going to change all that much just yet. We still have J-Team on a lot of potential. However, Silas is scaling up. We just saw that Silas, he was running in 1v4 and nobody could kill him. It was so difficult to actually take him down.
Yeah, I mean, he goes in with the Alistar ultimate. Once he hits level 16, it's going to be even more impressive. And then he just non-stop heals because he has the Riftmaker and the Archangels. He has so much CDR to continue to pop those Kingslayers. It's very, very annoying to deal with. Although Unified going to get chased. Look at the extra movement speed.
Yeah, they just get away, but the fight is still on. Juhan now looks like to be the target. Can Uniboy find him? One more tech. He does get it. It's going to be 2 kills over. Vex is dead also. The Korean duo has just gone down out of nowhere. J-Team, they used 2 ultimates for absolutely nothing, and they still win the fight. I think Hanabi was a little bit late to that one because he did have to teleport, and J-Team, in the meantime, they had the idea that they wanted to go in. PSG cannot contest.
They don't want to look to turn to challenge this objective, knowing that they don't have the smite to try and go for a flip. And they take the conservative approach. it will be Hanabi finally taking the level 16, but as you get to see the replay, like, this was pretty good.
That was a terrible
pretty well
start.
played coming in from Unified, but then the fight still goes through. They lose target focus. They aren't able to get onto Lil V this time around, and they allow Lil V to play the fight. And I mean, really, this series has just come down to, does Lil V on this Aphelios get to play the game? And if PSG lose this game, I feel like they're going to ban out Aphelios because they somehow failed to build compositions to deal with it.
I want to point out that I feel like PSG, it was really weird because we saw Hanabi just use his teleport, but he was very far in the bot lane after the teleport. So PSG, I feel like there was a moment of communication that went wrong. I don't know if it's Hanabi's side or the 4-man side, but PSG wanted to engage. Hanabi's TP was not in position whatsoever, and they still went in and just got caught. That was honestly a very bad way to start a fight for J Team, but they somehow don't get punished. They actually walk away with so much from that one. I'm just, kind of flabbergasted right there. It seems like communication again striking PSG.
And now, I mean, they won't hold on to this tier 2 tower against the Baron push, but that's kind of to be expected. It's really about seeing if they want to fight to control these tier 3 inhib towers. That's going to be the key. Oh, it does look like they are setting up to try and get a pick around this tier 2 mid tower.
And we do have the Unstoppable Onslaught going again into the mid lane, forcing out the ultimate from Juhan, so that cuts down on a lot of his reset potential at the start of the fight at the very least. And here comes the push in PSG. I feel like they are going to engage on this one. Hanabi does have the Alistar Unbreakable Will ready to go, so he's a very tanky boy in the front line. Let's see if he can find the crowd control. The chains land onto Enzo, and the fight is on. Shadow Surge onto the support into the front line. Shadow Surge still goes through. Bei gets instantly exhausted down, and that's a huge Moonlight Vigil, but Juhan does get the ultimate through. Hanabi chases forward. He's gonna get a Kingslayer. Massive amount of HP taken back with the Triumph as well, and he's chasing forward. A beautiful play by PSG, going in again and again, layering their engages to find the win.
And I mean, these engages are just so suffocating. There's so much chase potential because, again, the Cloud Soul giving them extra movement speed along with just the natural capabilities of them being able to chase. And look, Lil V, he gets a great ultimate with the Infernum, but that's it. That's his contribution to this fight. Maybe he gets one auto, but that's an auto, and then he's walking away.
Yeah, he has to run away from Hanabi right here, and Juhan also gets to flash forward to try to catch him out there. I'll be honest, I have to say Lil V actually misplayed that pretty hard. There was no way that one last hit on Pink Ward was worth a Gale Force in that situation. Nearly just straight up throws the game, actually. And I just feel like we see the problem of the late game scaling coming into full force from PSG. They just can't hold on to so many engages and wait for those opportunities for Lil V to reveal himself.
Yeah, as long as they target and zone off Lil V, he can't do anything. And look at this build. He's gone for a GA. He's gone for a BT. This is one of the most defensive builds you could go for on an Aphelios. And then his fourth item is now going to be a collector. There's just no damage coming out.
Nabi's going in, though. He has no lack of damage or sustain for that matter. Enzo nearly fallen down, and he's dead. They use the Blast Cone straight on top of him, and Bei gets to find the backline. In Hanabi goes. There's no stopping this man. He wants blood. He wants revenge. He's going to back out of the tower for now, but he's got Driver in his sights. Once again, PSG are going to head onto this Elder Dragon, and there's no resistance from Uniboy. Uniboy actually is going to go for a Najai Soul Stealer right here, just to potentially chance up some damage that they're lacking, but he's not going anywhere near the Elder Dragon. There's no steal potential. PSG, massive win.
PSG, now they just kind of run away with the game. There's only 13 kills in a 35-minute game, and PSG are down 2,000 gold, Clement, and this is a fight they still win in an absolute slaughter fest. Look, Lil V, auto's a ward. All right, that's one auto. Auto's another ward. That's another auto. And look, he's trying to pump out damage. Oh, but where's the damage? Hanabi just runs him down. He has an Alistar ultimate. He has a rank 3 Ali ult, which gives him so much uptime and so much healing from everything he's built on this champion that Lil V, you've gone for a collector. You don't have heal reduction. How do you stop this man?
Yeah, I'm wondering about his build right there. It looks like he's just trying to outlive the Unbreakable Will. That seems to be the game plan right here. But I think PSG are pretty happy with those 7 seconds, and Hanabi can just face plant into your entire composition. So yeah, we are seeing the gold lead just being chipped away from the side of J Team, and now with the Elder Dragon, PSG most likely will like to chain this into the Baron. It's coming up at 10 seconds. J Team looking down the barrel of a double major objective right here. Are they going to even try and contest? So far, the scuttle is there. They know what is going on. PSG try and hold off into the last second. Oh, and they actually hide this. I still feel like PSG have to know about this. They did see.
Yeah, I mean, they're just gonna let it go. If they go for this play and they don't sweep out the 3 wards that were really lined up behind them, behind the side of J Team in their jungle, like, it's such an easy access play for this Silas coming in with the teleport that they'll just lose the game. So they decide to play the game just a little bit longer. They don't have the flip tools to do it as well, because again, your big carry, your big DPS carry in Lil V, he just, I mean, there's no DPS. It's just the heart of the matter. He doesn't have an IE. He doesn't have the mortal, or not mortal reminder, but the Lord Dominix to actually shred through these high health targets, and he doesn't have any heal reduction.
What do you feel about the 4th item collector? It just feels so off to me. I don't think I've ever seen anyone go for 4-item collector.
Yeah, 2nd item makes sense because armor hasn't come through, and still armor hasn't technically come through, but it's just too late in the game that all these natural leveling stats, you're going to get more value from the armor from there anyway. So it's definitely probably 20 minutes too late, and PSG, I think they're going to be really loving the setup here that they have. They can just play all 3 lanes. Well, I guess all 2 lanes at the moment, because there's not a wave up in this top side, but look at the pressure there.
Here comes the engage. Kaiwing already pops the ultimate here. Oh, it's just a zoning engage. Sorry, got a little bit too high on that one. Uniboy rushes forward with the Spirit Rush. Isn't going to throw the... I'm very surprised he's not even going to try to throw a Charm out, but just saves it right there. And
look at how defensive Enzo is playing. He's so far back because he knows he's the only target for this Silas.
So smart.
He's actually just hiding in base because he doesn't want to get his ult stolen.
I'm just saying a 5v4 is better than a 6v4, so, you know, I think mathematically that makes a lot of sense. We do have a Charm going in onto Kaiwing, but Everfrost doesn't land right here.
It's a Leona.
He's still incredibly tanky. He doesn't really care about this at all. And Little V, I better see that collector one-shot someone. Hanabi gonna run away from the engage. Good find there. Yeah, they can. No tank.
Enzo can walk up. He can play the game. Oh my god. But, I mean, it's still a short ultimate cooldown for the Silas at rank 3 ult, so that's not going to be an issue. He already has plenty of cooldown reduction in his build. Lucidity boots, Zanya's, he also has the Banshee's Veil, so plenty of ability haste coming in from that build that, I mean, the ult's back. So a very small timing window, and really the only thing J-Team can get off of that is saying, hey, I guess you guys can't fight anymore, so we get to keep our base. We don't actually get to go for a pick, though.
How do J-Team actually win one of these team fights? Because so far, it's looked nigh impossible for them to even dent the front line. I'm not sure what their win condition is coming into a 5v5.
Yeah, it comes down to Lil V getting onto full build. He needs an IE. That's the only way they can win this game, because look at the other items in his team's inventory. You have a pretty utility build coming in from Gragas. He's not going to burst anyone down. You have a bit of a utility build coming in from Uniboy. He's not going to one-shot anyone anytime soon either. So it comes down to Lil V having to play absolutely perfect in a fight.
Konger trying to bait something to happen here, and Driver is the one that gets slightly tagged out. Vex now locked down. Can they actually get Bay down? The Onslaught of Shadows this time goes through, but he has double stasis, not just one, he's got two. Literally opening up though. Gale forces
Hanabi's on the back line.
Out of the bullet time, but Hanabi chasing him down. He finds the abduct, pops him into the GA. Uniboy in the meantime is gonna miss the charm and fall down. Hanabi just chases everyone to their death. A dogged fight from both sides, but Bay with the double stasis gets the bait off, and Hanabi cleans house.
Yeah, and with PSG in the 45-second death timers on both the carries of J-Team, this should just be the game unless some miracle occurs from J-Team. They have all the beefy boys, but they don't have any damage.
Let's see if the beefy boys are enough to stall this one out. Hanabi taking a lot of towers, but he's still alive for now. It will be Hecarim in the front line going down. Hanabi gets a kill onto himself, and this looks like it's gonna be all over. PSG gonna move on to match point in Game 3.
And I just love this PSG draft with the last pick, Silas, that murdered any chance J-Team had in this game. Yes, they had a good start coming in from Konya on the Hecarim, but this Aphelios pick, please put it in the trash. This pick sucks.
Oh man, those are some harsh words for a pick like Aphelios. There was a lot of things that are a little bit head scratchy this time around. I feel like J-Team, again, they were on the tempo side, but the mid game was so bloodless, and they weren't able to wrestle away the Drake stack, even though they had that pretty comfortable 2,000 gold lead and Silas being so far behind. There was so many missed teleports from Hanabi. He actually missed 2 teleports in the team fights, and still nothing came of it. J-Team didn't find any kills and didn't find any picks.
It felt like their only way in, even though there was a snowball on the Hecarim. They needed to find kills onto this 2v2 in the bottom lane, but they weren't able to do so because of good start. Level 1 coming in from Juhan and the rest of PSG, denying away the red buff at level 1, forcing Hecarim to play more so topside. And yes, they shut down Hanabi on the Silas pick, but Hanabi, when there's an Alistar on the other side, who cares? You can still steal an Alistar ultimate. So, when we get to see this draft pulled up, one thing, again, they could have picked Braum. That would have allowed the Aphelios to play the game against Dive, play the game against an MF ultimate, but they opted for the Alistar. And I don't think anyone could have imagined the R5 Silas pick to come out, but it enabled it, right? The Alistar lock-in enabled the rest of this composition. So I think it was just really, all in all, J-Team could have been the Braum pick. I think would have changed things drastically for them.
I totally agree. The Braum pick would have been really nice right here. At least Aphelios can survive, like you said, and probably there's a lot of things off with the Aphelios. I just feel like the itemization was so weird. It was super defensive, and then you just go right into Collector. I'm just like, what?
The itemization deserves to go into the trash bin as well.
Okay. But if you put Aphelios in the trash, you only have Jinx. And are you going to ban Xayah Nautilus again and again just to play Jinx?
Well, I mean, they'll be on red side for sure.
Oh, that's
this
true.
time
that's
around.
True.
And now it's just a matter of PSG. How do you want to play out this ban phase? Because we know J-Team, they are so invested in this bottom lane. And I feel like this MF pick works out pretty well because of the fact you can play from range, you can prevent the Aphelios from getting in, and it also allows the MF or Unified to just play comfortably back. He doesn't have to play aggressive and look for these Xayah Feather ults to try and get maximum damage. He can kind of just play his own zone.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I feel like throughout this entire series, the AD carries, they matter, but not that much. I feel like the top lane is still the deciding factor anyway. So, if bot gets to stay comfortably ahead, if they can push the wave, I feel like PSG are happy with that result. They don't need that much more from their bot lane. So far in the series, we are looking at, I think the draft has been sort of figured out. Lee Sin's not going to go through. Zeri's still going to be on the table for sure. But the other picks, the bot laners, we see PSG very comfortable with just going tempo and then building the scaling and split pushing for Hanabi. That's kind of the win condition for PSG at this point. And you can see in this gold graph, they can weather the storm perfectly well. 6,000 gold advantage for J Team, and they don't do anything with it. They just couldn't find kills.
Yeah, and I think another thing that we have figured out is that when you are taking champions like the Ahri, like the LeBlanc, you can go for these big burly tanks. Yes, Silas isn't actually a tank, but when you have Alistar ultimate to steal away, he is a hyper tank. So these hyper tanks are just so effective in dealing with these low damage mid lane threats or low DPS threats, because it's really just all about trying to catch a target and chunk them to half, but they can't finish off these kills. They need help from the rest of the team to deal the finishing blow.
And I feel like PSG has read very well into that. J-Team are a team that is going to lack damage. They, like we've seen in the previous series, they are tempo mid and they are tank top. So if you go for Aatrox, if you go for Viego, you are going to be incredibly happy. In the late game, you're untouchable. Nothing can kill you. They have to focus fire you, and Unify just gets the clean house. So I feel like that's another edge in the stack of PSG. The deeper we go into this best of 5, the more drafting advantages I feel like PSG are acquiring. And to no one's surprise, Hanabi gets the MVP. Those only 2 deaths happen in the early game with the Ignite Hecarim. He's able to weather the storm and come back with a roar.
Yeah, he died 2 times in this game, but all of them came out like before 10 minutes. So after that point, he went unkilled, and he also took like no damage in these fights because he had an Alistar to piggyback off of.
It's absolutely crazy. I think he gets up to 70% damage reduction and plus a Kingslayer every few seconds because they also had 3 Cloud Drakes. So, unkillable Hanabi there for you on full display. This man has evolved so far past what I initially thought of him. I felt like he had a really good Worlds run throughout this entire split. He's been the main carry on this PSG team when, honestly, you know, he was probably the 3rd or even 4th option in the previous year. So you got to give Hanabi his due. He is now the king of the PCS after Maple and River and left.
Yeah, for sure.
And Dago, sorry.
I mean, he still has to finish the job, right?
True.
He has to get the series win, and then he has to take the mantle, or he has to get the win over CFO in the finals. But Hanabi has clearly just been really the best player on the Rift. Usually we give that title to Unified whenever it's any PSG game, but so far he has somewhat underperformed on the Xayah pick, and we'll see how the pick demands change this time around, as most likely we'll see J-Team shift over to the red side.
Yep. And we're heading into Game 4. This could be where PSG clinch their matchup, the rematch with CFO, or it could go all the way to Silver Scrapes. We'll find out right after this break.